Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Yard Reasonings with Linval Levy. As usual, I want to thank you for watching the videos, for liking them, and for subscribing to my channel. As usual, I'm encouraging you to continue to share, continue to encourage your friends and your families to subscribe to the channel. Now, what I want to talk to us or reason with us in this video is being strategic in our planning, being strategic in our thinking. Now, I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old. Now, my father had a lot of goats, and these goats were really big goats. They there were two that were very wild goats. When they see you coming, they are running away from you and they are running all over the place. And so it was my responsibility to, we say, move them. So you go and tie them out so that they can feed. Now, because they were so wild, now when I go to move them in the mornings or tie them out in the mornings, I sometimes I would just go and I would just stand there, not move them. I'll just stay there for a while, and then when I think that that would be time enough to move them or get to all of them, then I would go back to the house, get myself ready, and then make my way to school. Now, when I was little, we had every type of animal that you could think of. So we had goats, we had a donkey that we called number seven, we had pigs, we had common fowl, white fowl, we had pigs, we had everything. And so it was my responsibility to take care of the animals. And so I would get to all the others first and then I'd get to the goats. Now, I would do that every morning or almost every morning. I would just go to where they are, stand there and wait. Sometimes what I'll do, I'll just break some feed, the feed that we give them and put where they are. Now, my father, he found out what was happening. And so he realized that the goats were not being moved. And so he gave me a good whipping. So he gave me a good whipping. And so now I have to start moving the goats and tying them out properly. So when I get to where they are now, I have to map out where I'm going to tie them. So I'm going to move them from this tree to that tree to that tree until I get them to where I want them. Now, I remember moving one of them, a big mother goat or your goat. And after I loosed her, she didn't even give me time to wrap around the other tree. She just dragged me down and she wrapped the rope all around me and then dragged me. And that scarred my belly. I have that on me right even now. And so I started planning ahead. I started doing my strategic planning. And so when I move them, I know exactly how I'm going to move them, where I'm going to move them to. And that helped me to get through. And somehow I got to taming them. And so I started talking to them. I started like befriending them so they don't drag me away and pull me down. And so we became, as it were, we became friends. And so I didn't have that challenge after a while. And so it taught me that we need to be strategic in how we think, be strategic in how we plan our daily lives, how we plan our routines, and how we plan to accomplish tasks. Right? So we have to strategize. Because if we I've come to the realization now that sometimes for me I wish the day would have some more hours. And so what I realize is that we have to plan strategically. So we do our to-do list and we decide how we are going to do things. And in the mornings, deciding what route to take. And depending on where you live, something you have to decide what route you're going to be taking this morning because of the traffic. And so you don't want to be caught in traffic. You don't want to be caught unaware. And so we have to be strategic in how we think, even the way we think. Because sometimes, even in our thinking, we think defeatist thoughts, right? And so, even in our thoughts, we are defeated already, even before we try. And so, I want to encourage us to just to think strategically and to think positively. Let us have a positive mindset. And one of the things that we have to do is refocus our minds, refocus the way we think, refocus the way we look at certain things. Because sometimes um, just like we normally see the glass half full or half empty instead of the glass being half full. And so I want to encourage us to look at the positives, look at the brighter side of life, look at the brighter side of things, and give people also the benefit of the doubt. So we approach things with an open mind. You see, and if we approach things with an open mind, then generally we'll get through things better. And you see, as a teacher, I normally don't want say I'm getting some new students. I generally treat them like a blank slate. A blank slate. So I don't want any information about them because the way they react for you, they may react different from me. And so I don't want to approach them with any preconceived or predetermined ideas. And so sometimes when we do that, and when you are told that, man, this child, this is a bad child, or this child is this, or this child is that, sometimes we go with the mindset and we're expecting the child to give us problems. So we go expecting difficulties and challenges, right? But if we approach the situations or people with an open mind, it's just like sometimes, in our daily lives, you're told that no, don't talk to that person or don't approach that person because they're not going to respond to you. But then you may approach them and they respond to you differently. So the approach that we take is very important, or a mindset also is very important. And so there are times when we have to refocus. When you have your lens and you're taking a picture, sometimes you have to focus the lens until you get to the thing that you want. All right, until you get to the focus that you want. And so there are times when we have to do that with our mind, the way we think. So we have to refocus our thoughts so that we can be successful, because sometimes, because of our thoughts, because of the way we think, we defeat ourselves even before we begin the task or the journey. All right. And so I want to challenge us to be strategic in how we do things, in how we plan, because we realize these days it's like the day doesn't have enough hours, the week doesn't have enough days. And so we have to just strategize. Some things we don't really have to do, some things we don't have to focus on. Because sometimes, we major in the minors instead of focusing on the big picture, focusing on what we really need to accomplish instead of majoring in the minor. Or some persons would say you're splitting hairs, meaning you're being very petty about certain things. All right. So I'm encouraging us to be strategic in that regard and to plan ahead. And you see, when you plan ahead and we decide that this is how this is the approach I'm going to take to this problem or this issue, then when we have that and we approach it from that angle, we we get better results, right? Instead of not having a plan or not having a strategy to accomplish our task, not having a strategy to accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish. And so we ought to be strategic in our thinking, strategic in our planning, and in our daily lives. All right. And so there are so many life lessons that we can learn from our childhood challenges and childhood issues. And so I want you to look back even at some of the challenges that you had, or some of the life issues that you had, um, as adults when you were children, and children when you were a little younger. And I want to encourage our young people and our children as well. Like I always tell my students, you will never live to make all the mistakes. So you need to learn from other people's mistake. 'Cause how it is, how it appears sometimes, it's as if some persons are trying their very best to make all the mistakes they can in the world. Right? And so I'll say, learn from other people's mistakes, because you will never live to make them all. And I remember we had a dog. His name was Kaiser, and we went to look wood. Those times when we were little, we used wood fire, and so we went to look wood. And wherever you go, your dog follows you. And so we went to look wood, and we heard that if you tie a can or a tin on the dog's tail or the cat's tail, if you want the cat to go away, you just tie a tin on the cat's tail and let them go on the road. And they keep running and running and running. And so the more they hear this noise behind them, the more they run. So we tried it with our dog, and our dog took off. And then we became so worried. We start chasing the dog all over, chasing him all over, trying to catch him, because we know that if he went away, then we would be in big trouble. And so we run after him and call him, and run after him and call him. And then the can got stuck in some branches, and we were so happy for that. And so that taught me that, look, not everything you hear you need to try. Some things you just have to leave them alone. All right. And so, with even back to the goats, when you hear that, the saying, um, every right. So as I was saying, even with the goats, we normally hear the saying, every day bucket a go well, one day the bottom will drop out. Right? So let us be careful of the things that we do, the things that we say. All right. So I want to thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. And as usual, just leave a comment, and you can tell me what you want to hear, and I'll try to get that for you. Okay. God bless you. See you next time. Walk good.